Cool. Well, welcome to today's webinar, which is the second in a series of 4 webinars to kickstart the last 4 months of the year. Today we're talking personal budgeting. I'm going to share my spin on personal budgeting and why I don't go in for all the restriction stuff and everything. So it's all planning for everything that you want. So I know you both know me, but for the purpose of the recording and for those who don't know me, I am Cheryl. I'm a wife, mum, dog mum, horse mum, domestic abuse survivor and advocate, speaker, business mentor and chartered accountant. I'm the CEO and founder of Peak Financials. So I help or I empower women to achieve financial independence, whether that's survivors rebuilding their lives, business owners seeking financial confidence, or employers creating safer, more supportive workplaces. And why do I do what I do? Because I never want anyone to be trapped like I was. So, as we said, today we are talking budgeting with my own spin on it. So why is budgeting so empowering, or why do I think budgeting is so empowering? For me, it's a case of thinking of budgeting as your personal money map. It's not about telling you where you can't go or restricting you. It's about planning where you want to go. Because we all know that when we start a diet, the first thing we want to do is go and eat some chocolate. And that's the same thing with money. As soon as you stop trying to restrict yourself, the first thing you're going to want to do is go and spend something or buy something or whatever. So my take on budgeting is about helping you to reach where you want to be. And for me, it's knowing where your money is going so that you can make confident choices about spending. You can spot patterns that you might want to change, but you don't have to. So only if they're not helping you get towards your goals. Having the power to redirect money towards your goals. Having a plan to pay off your debts, because let's face it, we quite often stick our head in the clouds with those, but having a plan makes us feel more in control. Guilt-free spending, so knowing what you're budgeting, or knowing that you've budgeted for what you are spending so that you don't feel guilty about spending that money. Feeling in control of your future. And of course, it wouldn't be me without saying about celebrating your progress along the way. So if you've got savings goals and you can see those goals building up and that money saving up, you can celebrate your progress along the way for those goals as well. So I'm going to take you through my process, which is a 6-step process. Technically 7, but we'll go with 6. And what I'm going to show you on the screen and everything, I've got a template which I'll walk you through as well towards the end, and I'll be sending along with the recording, so you don't have to make any of this up. I've got it all for you. So my first step is always to know where you are right now. So doing a spending review will help you to see where your money is currently going. And for this, you do need to be open and honest with yourself about where every single penny of your money is going. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to curb anything that you want to curb, but anything that you want to keep, plan in. What it'll also do is help you spot those patterns that you, as I just said, you might want to curb and change. And my dog's just escaped. How's this? She's fine. She can go and do things. But yeah, typical. So how do I do a spending review? So I literally take paper copies of my bank statements for the last 3 to 12 months, however far you want to go. And I will list all the money in and all the money out to see what I'm spending and where. So the money in isn't majorly as important as the money out, because we want to see where we're spending and everything. But it is really handy just to make sure that we don't forget any money coming in, like any benefits, child benefits, something like that. And when you're going through don't forget about all the annual payments as well. So that's why you probably do need the 12 months bank statements. So you can go and find all those annual payments that we always forget about, and then they crop up and we're like, oops, forgot about that one. So yeah, that's step one, a full spending review of what you're spending, where you're spending it, and how much every month, so you can get real clarity on that. You don't need to literally list it out like at different shops. It could just be grouping them together, so you could like have coffee shop takeaways, something like that, rather than list out literally, I spend this in Starbucks, this at Pizza Hut, and so on. But yeah, just so you've got an overall broad idea of what you're spending for each type of spending. Step 2 is about debt clarity. And I know this can be really, really scary and horrible to confront, but once we know the full picture, we can actually then have a plan. So no more head in the sand with any debts. Write a full list of who you owe and what you owe. And also, if you can, interest rates and things like that, so you can see what's the most expensive debt and what's the cheapest debt, to be able to have a plan to pay those off. And while we're on debts, there's 2 methods that I recommend for debt management. You've got the avalanche method and the snowball method, and they both work really well. And it just depends on what one you prefer, what to you will keep you more motivated. So the avalanche one is paying off your most expensive ones. That's why I said about knowing the interest rates. So the avalanche method, you pay off the most expensive debt first, and then start working on the next one and the next one and the next one. So you're paying the least amount of interest. And obviously, when I'm talking about debts, I'm not talking about your mortgage or your car payments and things like that. It's like credit card debts or loans. The snowball method is slightly different. So you focus on the smallest debt first, paying off like the minimum amount to all the rest, pay the smallest one off first, and then once you've paid the smallest one off, you pay the next smallest one off, but then you've got double the amount. So whatever you was paying off the smallest one, you then add on to the next smallest, and so on and so on. So you kind of get more progress because you're paying debts off. You're getting rid of debts quicker rather than just the interest. So yeah, you'll pay a little bit more interest with the snowball method, but you see progress quicker. So again, it all just depends which will keep you motivated more. Some people do a mix of the two, which can be done. But yeah, so that's you can also, actually, before I move on, you can also speak to people like Step Change, and I can't remember the other one off the top of my head, but Step Change is really good about helping you to clear debts and pay them off and look at different things like IVAs and management plans and things. I'd never say go into a management plan or IVA without speaking to somebody like Step Change first. And if you go to Step Change, they're a charity, so they won't charge you any extra, whereas some of the other places, when you Google, charge you extra money. So don't go to them. Step Change other ones. Right, more happy now. Savings goals. So if you was on the call yesterday, we talked a lot about goals, obviously, because it was goal setting and some money goals in there. So what will your goals cost you? How much do you need to save for each of your goals? How much do you want in your emergency fund? I always say 3 to 6 months is great, but obviously whatever works for you. How much is the holiday you want? And when you're thinking about things like a holiday, it's not just the cost of the holiday, it's the airport transfer or parking, it's the clothes that you want to buy, it's spending money, any other things that you need to buy, suitcases and so on, if you haven't got any or you need to upgrade. So when you think about a goal of a holiday, think about all the extras that go with it. If your goal is to buy a house, then again, think about all the other bits that goes with a house. Renovation costs, which is quite timely for me at the moment. But also the extra bills or lower bills, depending on if you're upsizing or downsizing. What will the mortgage be every month? What is all the gas, electric and everything, the council tax, or potentially what could they be? So that you've got an idea of how much you need for that. And also think about things like solicitors' fees, stamp duty, removal costs, all of that kind of thing, including that saving goal as well. You've then got things like retirement or uni funds for children, all different types of things you can have as your savings goals. And what I would say as well is to break down your saving goals so they're a bit more achievable. So, for example, a emergency fund. If you start off by working towards £100 in it, then £1,000, then 1 month's budget, and then your 3 to 6 months, however many months you want to have there. Yes, I've included all of that. And then we'll be moving on to, I want to introduce you to the 50, 30, 20 methods. You may have heard of this before. But this is a really simple way to plan out your money and where you're going to allocate it to. So I'll say pie chart. Think of your money like a pie that's divided into 3 slices. And this will help you to portion out your take-home money every month in a way that balances both today's needs and wants, but also your goals and what you're trying to work towards. So you've got 50% is for your needs. So these are all your must-haves. So like your rent or mortgage, council tax, utilities, basic food, essential transport, your insurances, and minimum debt repayments. Those would all be in your needs, the things that you basically can't live without. And then you've got your 30% for your wants. So these are your life's little pleasures. So these are like shopping for non-essential items. You've got entertainment, eating out, takeaways, hobbies, social activities, your clothes, the nice clothes, not the ones that you have to have, but the ones that you want to have, things like that. And then the last 20% is your future you. So this is your safety net. And this can be where you put money aside for your emergency fund, pension contributions, extra debt repayments, long-term savings, any additional insurances like appliance insurances and things like that. So I find that this is a really great way of, I mean, you don't have to be rigid with it. I'm not rigid with it. But what I do is I make sure that roughly, sorry, I do need to stop the dog from doing this. Out. That's where the ceiling could come down and end up on my dog. Monkey. Yeah, so as I said, I'm not rigid with this, but it's really good to kind of have a rough framework of where to allocate your money to, so that you know that you are allocating everything to what you need and your basic needs are met as well. And sorry, this. I'm going to shut the door, shut them out. They're more aggro than they're worth sometimes, aren't they? Right, so this is a great visual on how to handle and set up your bank accounts. And I absolutely love this. And I have got this all set up because I'm sad. But to me, in my brain, this just really works. So having a main account that all the money goes into, and this could be a joint account if you're a couple. And then from that main account, all the bills get paid and all the savings pots are there. And this could literally be like if you've got one of the challenger banks, a Monzo, Starling, one like that, you could literally have all the pots in there for all the different saving goals. Or you could have a different savings accounts for each of these, but they're all different accounts or pots for the things that you're saving for. And what you can do is when the money comes in, just like you've got direct debits to pay your bills, you can set up standing orders or automated movement to your pots for each of those. So they're all done, taken care of, and you don't need to don't need to worry about them. You can set it and forget it. And then you have your fun money pots. So I've got this as a separate account. My husband and I, we've got one separate. So you can have your own personal money, and I am a big fan of having your own personal money. And these are your fun money pots. So these are your pots where you can go and spend on all your wants, all the little things that you want for you. Guilt-free spending comes out of the fun money pot, which would be part of your 30% of your wants. Automate as much of that as possible so that you're not having to do it every month. And if you prefer to be old school, then envelopes are the way to go. I remember when I was young and I used to go to the post office with my nan to collect her pension, and she would come home and she'd be divvying it all out into her little envelopes for all of her little pots. And I know a few people that still manage their money that way because that's what works for them and that's what makes sense. So you can even do this in envelopes if you want. And a little tip that I use is my 24-hour rule. So I set a limit, like £50 or £100. We've got a couple of different limits for different things. But for all purchases over that limit, wait 24 hours. And if you still want it, then you can go and buy it. But it just stops all those impulse and emotional shopping buys, because we do that a lot, don't we? Unless, of course, you've allocated a certain amount to go out and spend on impulse, but on like a shopping trip out. But I find that really helps, because there's so many times I go on Instagram, see something that go, oh, that looks good, especially when it's one of the influencers sharing what they've got recently. And off I am, go and buy it. 2 days later, I don't even want it or need it. Probably never seen it again. So it just curbs all of that little thing from wasting your money. So the last step would be creating your budget. So I'm just going to stop sharing for a second, and I'm going to take you into the template that I'm going to share with you. Not that one. Oh, you can see the template, can you? Spreadsheet. Yep. So this is my spreadsheet, which you'll all get access to. So if you can just make a copy of it. So if you don't use Google Sheets, if you do file and make a copy, if you use Google Sheets, you do it that way. If you need just a normal spreadsheet, you can just come to here and download as Microsoft Excel, and then you can use that in whatever spreadsheet package you use. A little overview there, and I will link the recording in here afterwards. And you've got my email there if you ever need any questions or anything. And again, I've broken it all down into the steps. So you've got a template there for your spending review, and I've kind of broken it down into different types of expenses. So you've got household, transport, personal and healthcare, and so on, and you've got plenty of room there to add in extras. And what I would do is just go in and pop in the amounts that you would spend from your bank statements for every month, so then you can see a total of how much you're spending every month, but also at the end you can see what you're spending on each item in a year, which sometimes can be quite scary, but also it can be quite enlightening. But again, at this point, it's not a case of restricting yourself, because if you want to have a coffee every day, then we're going to budget you in to have a coffee every day from your favorite coffee shop. So that's that page you can use. You've then got your debt clarity, so you can pop everything in here, who it's with, how much in total, what the minimum payments are, and then interest rate known if you know, and then you can put in the date that you have to make the payment of every month. And you can set yourself a target date for clearing it. And what you can do in here is every so often you can come back in and update how much is still owed, so you can see that it's going down. Then got your savings goals tab, so you can pop in how much you want for each goal. I've got enough here for 10 goals, but you can obviously add in more if you want. And then you can set yourself for when you want that goal by. Sorry, what the goal is. So for example, house deposit. When you want to have that by, how much you're putting aside every month, how many months, how much it is in total, how many months you've got to reach your goal, and then that'll tell you how much you need per month to save. Or you can do it the other way around. You can put in how much save per month, which will then work out how many months it will take you to get to the goal, and so on. So there's no formulas in here, so you can kind of just work it out how works best for you. But yeah, what I would say is if you're one of the goals is like an emergency goal and you want to break it down, emergency fund, and you want to break it down, then goal one would be the £100, then 1,000, and so on. So you can break it down within here as well. Then added in more on the 50, 30, 20 methods. You can see there how it all fits. And again, I've included a copy of this as well, so you can set up all your pots. And then the big one, the personal budget plan. So in here, you can pop in all your money coming in, and you can add in extras. Obviously, if you add in extra lines, then you just need to make sure the formulas still work. So you can plot all your income coming in, and then we can go into the outgoings. And I've broken this down into the 50%, the 30s, and the 20s. And then within that, I've just broken down roughly the categories again. So you've got household, transport, and so on, just to try and keep it a little bit organized, and so you don't forget things, because I'm very good at forgetting things. So it's all there. And what you can do is you can plot out exactly what you're going to spend on everything, so you've got your budgets, and then from here you can transfer your savings goals over into here as well. So we've got the section down here for your savings goals, and any debt repayments, some minimum repayments can come into here, and you can plot that all out as well, see how much you're spending every month, and then you can also see what's left over, and then you may want to allocate a little bit more to maybe some savings or some debt repayments, depending on what your goals are. Or you may want to spend a bit more on eating out, having fun, whatever works for you, you can do. But what I would say is do a now based on the money you've got coming in now. And then also I've got a template that you can duplicate, and you can plan out future budgets. So for example, once you've bought your house, you can have a budget there for that, so you can see how much everything is going to cost you potentially. Obviously we know it could change in the future, but also if you've got savings goals there and you need more money to come in, you can plot out what it would look like when you have more money coming in and where you can spend your money and things like that. So you can really play around with different scenarios here as well. So yeah, that will be coming out to everybody at the end. Does that all make sense? Yes, I've not scared you off. Oh, well, that's, oh, where is it? Let's go back into my presentation. So that is my take on budgeting. Have you got any questions?
Cheryl, I have 2, 3 self-employed incomes that are
Yep.
quite variable. I
Mhm.
guess there's no like easy way around that, just because it's going to make budgeting difficult, because I have literally no idea. And 2 of them, maybe all 3, are in the like growth phases at the minute. So
Yeah,
whatever's coming in now could not be the same in 2 months' time. So it's going to make life tricky, isn't it?
it is. So what I would say is do a base budget on worst case scenario.
Okay.
And then just look over as an average of the last, say, 3 to 6 months, what your money was and where your baseline is. Base your budget on that. And then also do another scenario for a higher amount, or the average of the last 3 months, 3 to 6 months. And then you can kind of work from there. And it will be a case of, as you're growing and your income's growing, you will need to keep refreshing it and updating it. So maybe a task to do every 3 months is to come in and refresh it and see where you're at.
Okay.
But also, when you do become a little bit more stable with your income, is although the business is up and down, self-employment income is up and down, what you can do is you can still transfer yourself a set monthly amount from your business. And this is for every business owner, whether it's stable or not. You can transfer yourself a set amount every month across into your personal account for this budgeting. So you, like when you was employed and you had a set amount of money every month from your wages, and then you know that the good months or the higher months will kind of peter out and take care of the lower months in your business, kind of thing. So it kind of evens a little bit out over time.
Okay.
Does that help and make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. Yeah.
That's okay.
I think all I was going to say was like, that's a lot of information. It's like, would you just start on one tab and work your way through?
Yeah. Just start at the beginning and just work through. And that's why I've done it like that, because you're getting all your information together and then you can start your budget, rather than going straight in to start your budget when you don't know all the other bits.
Yeah, I guess it then, like you were saying, if you had like you're transferring like a base amount, that's what you'd work from, like from business, and then once things get better, that probably would increase, but then you would change.
Yeah, then you can adapt your budget accordingly where you want that extra money to go to. And if you want it to go into savings, then you just change the savings line.
Yeah, so I think that's what's like different. Obviously, when you are employed, you get a salary. That's your, you know, okay, you go in and get a job, that's your set amount. And then normally you would go in and be like, oh, I want this because it's more than what your last job was to cover costs, and then you've got extra to play with. I think when you're in business or started a business, you don't have that. You're building the other way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And I think that's why I'm such a fan of always transferring yourself a wage every month, because then it helps you to be more organized at home. And then you never take all the money out of your business then either, and you've always got a buffer in there at some point as well, because it's really tempting when you've got money in there, take it out, spend it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I needed that money for that bill that I forgot about and things like that. So it just kind of helps you to keep on top of it. And the other thing I love about the budgeting is when you're looking at what you're trying to spend, what your goals are and things, that then is your starting point to look at your business finances and what you actually need out of your business. You're not a business, because I know there's a few people that register that are not business owners. It allows you to look at then, okay, well, this is what I want, this is what I need every month, and then you can look for a role that gives you that, or you can work towards it in your business, or you can have a mixture of both.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think that's where where it's like switched for me. I was always really good at budgeting, like when I was getting a salary, but having started my business with 0 and having to build it up and try and figure out, like, I do transfer money like a set amount each month to myself, but obviously it's nowhere near what it used to be, and having to budget that for the things that I want is quite challenging when you're trying to build stuff in.
Yeah, it is. It does get easier.
That's good to know.
It does get easier. But yeah, I think I've always, from day one, because I have got such a literal brain, which is good for being an accountant, but because that's the way my brain works, I've always from day one transferred money from the business, even if it was only a couple of £100 a month. I've always done it that way, and then built up from there so that I could really see where I am and everything.
Thank you.
No, that's fine. If there are questions afterwards, then obviously feel free to reach out, because I appreciate this is a public recording and not everyone wants to share everything. So, well, on that, I guess, if any of this is resonated and you do want to talk more, then let's have a chat, and you can book a call there. But next steps would be just to start working through that spreadsheet. I shall hopefully get it out this afternoon, depending on how quickly I get the recording through, and then start working on it. And see how you get on. And yeah, any questions, anything you want to talk through or anything, then obviously more than welcome to book in a call and have a chat, or message me or anything. I'm happy to talk. That's what I'm here for.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks, Cheryl. That's really helpful.
Yeah,
No.
thank you very much.
No, thank you both for coming, and for everyone else watching the recording, thank you very much too. And yeah, hope this helps.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.